Bustling new construction, fresh facades and roof lines, along with the incessant clatter of hammers striking nail. These are the sights and sounds that have filled the Bowling Green-Warren County landscape over the past year. But the pristine images emerging stand in sharp contrast to the death and destruction witnessed on December 11th, 2021. That's when powerful tornadoes ravaged the area. The impact will be felt for generations. Now, 1 year later, this resilient community is mending. It's establishing a new normal after the storms.
Trees on my car and the whole first floor of the house is gone.
So again, seek shelter. We are talking about a very dangerous tornadic cell moving through that has a history of producing significant damage in areas before it got into places like Logan County. So
the idea of a tornado is pretty simple. It's a rotating column of air that's connected and formulated from a rotating thunderstorm, and that column is connected from the base of the thunderstorm to the ground. It's as simple as if it doesn't quite reach the ground, then we call that a funnel cloud.
Forecasters, including WKU meteorologist Dr. Josh Durkee, spent the days leading up to the December 11th storms monitoring the weather event for the university. On the night of Friday, December 10th, long-track storms originating in Arkansas were forming in western Kentucky, near Mayfield. While the whole environment was connected, the storms that hit Warren County originated in northern Tennessee. Once those storms moved into Logan County, the radar indicated a growing debris signature just west of Bowling Green.
So we knew this was coming now for a couple of days. I'm seeing
around 1 a.m. on Saturday, December 11th,
because these storms mean business.
The storm made its way into Bowling Green.
I believe we concluded that we had at least 2 tornadoes come through town. And the highest rating that we were able to give that was the 165 mile per hour, which is the highest end of an EF3.
What we found that had occurred was a tornado had come through, really bisecting Bowling Green and Warren County, starting in the southwest corner out in Rockfield, traveling all the way north out Louisville Road past Warren East High School at about 1:30 in the morning. And in its wake, it left devastation of a lot of our neighborhoods, of our businesses, of some of our commercial corridors, our utility infrastructure, and it also claimed the lives of residents, of citizens of Bowling Green, people that worked in our businesses, the kids that went to our schools. The part of our community didn't make it to December the 12th because of those tornadoes.
We had not a fatality associated with a tornado since 1974. Which was an F3 that went through the eastern part of Warren County with many injuries, and I think Warren County had 3 fatalities. The 74 tornado and, of course, the pandemic with everything that went on, and the tornado of 2021 is definitely going to be one of some of the top 3 for Bowling Green and Warren County.
It's so, everything that sort of locks you mentally to a town is just not there anymore. Out of our 31,000 electric customers, about 22,000 were without power initially. Once daylight came on, we could do some just general assessment of where the damage was, and we could get crews dispatched and we could start triaging. We were able to get down to about 8,800 electric customers in our core outage. And if you had our electric outage map snapshot of that time, it was literally from west to east, right through the heart of town.
As the sun rose on Saturday, December 11th, the Bowling Green-Warren County community went to work. National Weather Service personnel, emergency workers, and first responders joined state and federal officials and volunteers from across the country to begin assessing damage from the overnight tornadoes. What they found looked like a war zone. As the search for survivors continued, heroic stories of survival began to surface.
Bedroom here, and then the bedroom where my parents were. Literally where we were sleeping, the ceiling was on the bed when we came back up a few hours after the storm had passed, or the bulk of the storm.
Looking around, that could all be rebuilt, replaced, but couldn't have replaced my wife. Yeah, I thought for sure that there would be enough time to run upstairs and grab a couple sleeping bags and get back down the stairs. And you know, when I heard the noise, I dropped the sleeping bags and just wrapped my arms around the stair rail, and the house just rocked back and forth and kind of jumped up off the foundation a little bit. And probably a good thing I was hanging on. I don't know that I would have been able to keep my balance on the steps otherwise. I walked back over here, it was probably about 5 o'clock, still dark at that time, and just started going through the house to see if there were some things that I really needed to try to find, if they were still here. And then 6 o'clock or so, sun started to come up, and I think that was the first time then I came back outside and really walked around and got a better feel for the extent of the damage. I just kind of took a step back, and I realized how lucky we'd been, how fortunate. And, you know, that could all be rebuilt, replaced. But couldn't have replaced my wife. Couldn't replace the grandkids.
We lost 475 units. That's total units. So that would account an apartment unit or a house to moderate to severe damage. And we lost about 127 businesses on 90 different properties. All told, about $100 million in structural damage loss as a part of this.
We walked in, seen windows busted out. I seen 2x4s in walls. Seen a massive hole in the ceiling where our sign kind of created a battering ram and opened up the roof.
Our hardest hit neighborhood was Zone 1B, which is Natcher Parkway to Veterans Memorial north of Russellville Road. That Jennings Creek, Creekwood, Whispering Hills area. That was our hardest hit.
That area of the county houses a large population of foreign-born refugees and immigrants, and schools with diverse student populations, where over 30 different languages are spoken, with over 30 nationalities represented. As the post-storm casualty count began to reflect a devastating hit to the refugee population, Bowling Green's international liaison, joined by community leaders, began crisis intervention, going door to door in the impacted neighborhoods and creating a communication network for resources.
I knew the language barrier would be the greatest challenge. We were equipped as a city to provide language assistance. As an organization, we have had that in place. That was the nature of my position. But other entities that responded didn't have the capacity to serve such a multicultural and linguistically complex community.
Munga Ramadani, his then-pregnant wife Christina Sango, and their 8 children were awakened by their young daughter and managed to survive the storm as the house they owned off of Russellville Road fell in around them. The former refugees from the Democratic Republic of Congo credit their faith for sparing them.
I think because we pray a lot, and that's why God goes to that daughter, my daughter Karen, said, wake up, make sure you save this family.
We in the United States may seem divided, but there is that common humanity in us. When disaster strikes, when there's trouble anywhere, we all come together as one, and that's what happened on that day.
In the early morning hours of December 11th, Jamie Woosley, then principal of Jennings Creek Elementary School, and volunteers using an emergency generator and a portable gas grill offered food and shelter to scores of displaced families. And the school on Russellville Road became an epicenter for victims, first responders, and the Red Cross, as donations of portable generators and trailers began arriving. As a result of the storm over the past year, city and county schools have changed the way tornado drills are conducted and started offering mental health counseling.
Warren County has provided not only mental health resources, but academic resources to try to help kids recover the learning that they lost.
But I'll tell you this, kids are resilient. And they came back, and there were lots of hugs, there were lots of tears, and but there was so much support that we just kind of made it through it.
I'm gonna turn around a minute. This back here is a generational change for us.
Within 4 days of the storm, the vacant former Sears department store in Bowling Green's Greenwood Mall became a staging location for volunteers and donations from individuals, organizations, and churches. FEMA officials and mental health professionals were on site as well. Emily Angel with Bowling Green Neighborhood and Community Services helped coordinate more than 6,000 volunteers who worked more than 20,000 hours. Project Recovery has spent the last year helping residents deal with post-traumatic stress and weather-related anxiety. Social media provided a critical tool for online resources like We Are BG Strong, which remains a valuable source for post-tornado information. In addition, GoFundMe accounts like kyshine.com raise thousands of dollars in donations through online campaigns. The tornadoes that struck Bowling Green and Warren County in the early morning hours of December 11, 2021, claimed 17 lives and sent 84 people to the 2 area hospitals. 475 units suffered moderate to severe damage. 127 businesses on 90 different properties were lost, resulting in nearly $100 million in structural damage. The county lost no public infrastructure, no schools or hospitals or the power grid. The storm did, however, target several of the city's historic neighborhoods and destroyed generations of tree canopy. Officials are currently working with the city's Operation Pride and the National Arbor Day Foundation to restore the estimated 3,000 trees lost to the storm. Housing officials have implemented a post-tornado moratorium on building permits to protect the integrity of historic neighborhoods.
And so the question is, how do you plan to put that back into the marketplace? And so that's been our goal, is focusing on that 475. And so we use that now to track our building permits, to see how many building permits have we issued as part of the reconstruction post-tornado.
And I lost 27 trees out of my yard, just my yard. I don't know how many we ended up losing in the neighborhood. This back here is a generational change for us. It's going to be, my grandkids might see it kind of like it was, maybe.
You can't replace 50-year-old trees. But what we estimate we lost about 3,000 trees in the tornado. And since that time, we've been able to secure funding to do an urban canopy program to put trees back in these areas. We're going to have to wait for them to grow. There's nothing we can do to restore that. But at least we're helping speed that up. In partnership with Operation Pride and Retree Bowling Green, you're seeing a new emphasis on urban trees and restoring that canopy.
We have learned a few things about infrastructure, I can say it in this particular context, where we have probably a few vulnerabilities that we probably need addressed in terms of hardened infrastructure. You can't make it weatherproof entirely.
We thought we knew everything. We thought we know how to handle the refugees when they come. But we realized that after the tornado, there's a lot that we need to put in guiding these refugees integrating the community.
The bottom line is, lowest floor and interior, and find as many walls between you and the outside yard as you can. Because what we saw in Bowling Green was full demonstration of the fact that when wood and other things go flying, they go through walls. I track tornadoes for a living. I've documented well over 50 tornadoes within close, similar type of range. And the question I get all the time is, well, that must have been no big deal for you. This is like, you do this all the time. And that's not true at all, because when I'm doing the other version of that, I'm tracking the storm, I'm moving with the storm, I'm studying the storm. This was on a night where the storm came to me. Historically, December is the lowest, I believe the lowest, or at least one of the lowest months that we've ever seen tornadoes in Kentucky. It's our least expected month for severe weather. And then here we have one of the most prolific severe weather events in the middle of that. So, the take home is, if there is a severe weather threat, always take it serious.
If you've noticed, if you've drove around Bowling Green, you can still see the scars, but you can also see the renewed growth, the new buildings. So we're making progress. The landscape, I think, will be changed forever, some for the good and some for the bad.
I've met people who lost their homes, lost their property, lives were in legitimate danger, and they still think that what they went through wasn't a big deal because there's somebody had it worse than everybody. I think December's going to be really hard for a lot of people. And I think coming up to it's going to be hard just because it's right there with the Christmas season. So as people start decorating again, start hearing Christmas music and all that stuff, the last time they were going through that is right around the time of the storms. I mean, I know people, I got a friend of mine that she lost her home in the tornado, and as she was moving into her new home, and this is in June, she's unpacking all this Santa stuff. I'm like, why do you have so much Santa stuff? She's like, because I packed up in December. So when people start getting that Christmas stuff out, it's going to remind them where they were last year. I don't know. It's hard to tell how that's going to affect people with the anniversary and Christmas all together at once. But, I think it's something people should be aware of.
Of all the bad things and that happened, the one good thing that I could kind of cling to during that time was hope. Because, and you say, well, how can you have hope? Because the amount of people and the amount of love and the amount of support that came out during that time was just astronomical. There were people sending things, care packages, semi-truckloads of things to help people that they've never seen, to help a community that's very diverse and is not typically what you think in Kentucky. And just the amount of love. At that point, it didn't matter what color your skin was or what language you spoke. It was about helping people.
The big takeaway for me is you think you can plan, but you can never plan enough. You think you have it all worked out. A couple of the things that I really wish we'd had a better handle on early, volunteers and donations. The amount of stuff, just stuff, that came to the community through local donation drives, through regional, through corporate donations, all those items that just literally show up in semi-trucks at the door, and you got to figure out what to do with it all. And that takes teams of people. How to get the volunteers that just show up and because they want to help. The grandmas with the chainsaws that just want to come out and help somebody, help their neighbor. How do you keep that directed where you can get the most work done in the shortest amount of time possible? Those were two that now, looking back on it, we would take a different approach and have a better plan moving forward from the beginning.
The lessons learned were that, how do we formalize what ended up being a grassroots effort? Because a grassroots effort formed, and in that capacity, the community responded in grand ways, and people who had the skill set and the ability to offer help did so. and came together, but it was not formalized. There wasn't a plan of action that was written and said, this is what needs to happen. It just organically happened, which was the most beautiful thing to see. That at the time it didn't matter the color of your skin, the language that you spoke, we were going to meet the needs of the community.
I learned that people don't care if you're black, white, Republican, Democrat, agnostic. They don't care when in an event like this. They just want to come help.
Yeah, I think it's just you never know what the future holds. So live one day at a time. Live in the moment. It's kind of helped me to put things into perspective about how sudden things can happen that you don't expect.
Materialistic things can be replaced, but people can not. So very thankful for all of us to be safe during this. I'm ready to get back to being with my family again, seeing them every day and serving our community.
Certainly a tragic event, what occurred on December 11th here, but it just absolutely reaffirmed my belief that we live in one of the best communities anyone could live in.
How Bowling Green stood up for each other and responded was just kind of an amazing thing to see.